Hey Rovers, I'm here with Andy Dize. Now if you remember, Andy Dize is the naval architect who designed Wave Rover. I arrived a few days ago at this yard and we're going to get Andy's take on his initial viewing of Wave Rover. The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my solo ocean crossings. She's small, light, and yet easy to build, but strong enough to cross any ocean. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story.
The interior fit and finish of what I've seen so far exceeds my expectations. It is very roomy. It has a lot of capability. The boat is just way above what I had expected from the original design.
All right, so we're just going to cast off, head out into the bay, go for a little sail, and we're gonna let Andy give us his impressions of what the performance of the boat is like under sail. We've been waiting for a bit of wind. We didn't have enough yesterday. We have probably 7 to 10 knots. It'll be good enough to test and see what we have. No foul language, Andy. You're releasing.
I got it. Yep, I got it out.
Oh, it's nice to have a second person on board.
Heave, ho, heave, ho, heave, ho.
Okay, nice.
Great work, Alan.
Mind the helm.
Don't mind the crazy naval architect on the helm.
All right, we're good. We're sailing.
We are sailing.
All right, so initial impressions. We're on a bit of a broad reach.
We just started, just hoisted sail, and everything is working perfectly. Very well balanced helm. Not a lot of pressure on the sail. It's kind of light at the moment, but the boat's performing very well. Even with the twin keels, it's tracking very well.
And it's good to get your opinion, not just as a naval architect, but you're actually one of the top soling sailors in the U.S.
Racing sailor for 55 years.
Yeah.
Yes, so I've sailed a lot of boats, inshore, offshore. It's living up to my expectations and the design that we put together.
Good. You know, I'm happy with it, but it's nice to get a second opinion.
Don't have much wind. I wish we had a little more wind, but we'll get into that in the future. You've seen the boat sail with Alan out in the ocean with plenty of wind.
Seems every time I'm sailing by myself, I've got plenty of wind.
Whenever you take guests out for a ride, it's like this, huh?
Oh my goodness, I turned around and we're about to hit a bridge.
No. We're going through a bridge. We are actually sailing in Bear Creek, which is off the Tapsco River, which is the main entryway into Baltimore. We're not going to sail all the way out to the river, but we're going to put the boat through its paces in the creek. And it feels like a much heavier boat, bigger boat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm used to my soling, which is 2,200 pounds, very light, very maneuverable, but this feels like, a 30-foot boat, 32-foot boat.
Yeah.
Just, so it shows how stable it is, and the added buoyancy with the freeboard. It's going to be a very well sailed boat for you on your offshore adventures.
And you can tell Andy is a racing sailor because he's touched the main sheet probably a dozen times. in the same amount of time that I would have touched it once and set it and go.
It's ingrained in my brain, yes. When the heading changes or the wind speed changes, change the main sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're coming about here.
So that's about it as far as you can pull in.
Yeah, it's kind of recommended on these junk sails about 10 degrees off center is what you...
Okay.
You got a little more breeze now, it feels like. I like that. The bottom panel, when the sail is hoisted correctly, does get a little bit of shape. The bottom two. Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if, well, the way they would put it in is they would dart the seams to allow more material to handle.
Yeah. There's a few different ways that they're doing it. You know, they can put the belly this way or this way.
Right.
Managed to get by that bridge one more time, Andy. Well done.
Thank you.
Missed it by 3 inches.
Thank you.
That's nice. That's we're getting sort of gusts now that are over 10, I'd say. And you can see the flags over yonder sticking out. Oh, that's nice. I also noticed that the fan section does tend to scallop out when the breeze gets a little higher, which gives more lift again.
Yeah, it's handling very well. I mean, I've got like hardly any pressure or tension on it, and it's tracking really well. You know, if you need a little bit flatter, you sail out, and it comes right back up. It's very well and behaved boat.
Yeah.
Very well behaved.
Yeah. No, it's ideal. That's what I wanted. I wanted something that would be really easy for a solo sailor, you know, because there's a lot of things I have to concentrate on other than the sail when I'm out there on the ocean.
Right.
And you can see as well, Andy, see those carpet bits that are now sewn onto the sail. Those are what I had done in Stonington to prevent the chafing against the mast, and they're working great. They slide really well. Right now on this tack, there's a bit of space between the sail and the mast, but when we get on the other tack, the battens actually press against the mast.
Got it. Yeah, I can feel we're starting to pick up. I can hear the water increasing in decibels as it's rippling off the transom.
Yeah.
It's a very, very comfortable boat. This definitely would be a good boat for Chesapeake Bay, where you can have, you know, many small rivers and ports that you can go into, and the boat is well laid out to be able to camp on overnight.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think, let's see, how long have I been on it now? August, September, October, November. Coming up in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've been living on it full time, and I'd have to say I'm very comfortable. You know, it's for extended cruising. And the other thing is, as far as gunk holing goes, I never really valued gunk holing, but I do now after sailing into Chesapeake. I see the value of it. It's a lot of fun.
It's a nice little town. Yep. Perfect for this boat.
So we're going a little more to windward.
There, I can bring it up some more like we were.
Yeah, we had a nice little gust there. Now it's died off a bit. I do find when conditions get a little light, I've started to roll tack to get through the wind. Yeah, yeah. Like I just your body weight coming over.
Yeah.
And the other thing, when it gets really light, I bear off a bit,
Yes.
just to get some speed, and then roll tack through.
Right, and you have to do that so that you get boat speed up and water flow over the keels.
Yeah.
So the keels then assist you with making that tack.
Now the other thing I found was the 40-footer that was sailing with me last weekend. They didn't necessarily have to do it, but they're a much heavier boat. They would have had momentum just from their huge displacement to see them through.
They should, if they do the tack right. Yes, the momentum does take you through.
But we're a pretty light boat, which is one of our big advantages, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's amazing, really. You know, we're only about a mile from an industrial area, and look how beautiful it is.
Yep. Yeah. The advantage you have with the junk rig is a lot with the type of sailing that you're doing. You're not doing around the buoys racing, where getting as close to the wind is the paramount important feature of sailing a race. You're looking at going from point to point, and you're following the wind, rather than trying to make the wind do what you want it to do. You know, you're following the wind, and it's pushing you to your destination. So, I mean, this type of rig actually is great because it's pretty much always on a reach mode, and it's giving you your best performance and heading.
So, you know, when I first said I'm going with a flat cut sail, there were monstrous cries about why not a camber sail, you know. This has not let me down. It's been simple, it's bulletproof, it was inexpensive to build. And Blondie Hassler, the man who really put junk rig sailing back on the map and won the All-Star and the Jester Challenge, did it all with a flat cut sail, and that was the 60s. So, you know, I'm happy with this. And on the weekend, the other boat that was the same size as Wave Rover had a cambered sail. We were neck and neck, you know, going upwind against the current. I will admit, if Wave Rover had a cambered sail, she would have performed better in those light conditions than she did. But she was already performing as well as the other boat her size with the cambered sail. Right. So I think we have a very efficient hull form here,
yes,
despite the sail.
Efficient hull form, very efficient rig, and it's performing the way that you had envisioned.
Yeah, no, I think that flat bottom, the Sharpie style hull, there's a lot to be said for that too, Andy. We've designed a hull that is very efficient, easy to build.
Very easy to build.
Yeah. Okay, we've got the sail let right out because we're on a run. How does it feel?
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good. And we're not out in the open ocean with big waves, but I mean, the boat is steering very well. And it's quite comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
This big cockpit is quite comfortable at this wind speed.
And
we're making good time.
Yeah.
Even in this light breeze.
How's the visibility?
I have to duck a little bit to see, but as I say, we're not out in the ocean where the boat is pitching a lot.
Yeah.
So you will get visibility with a little bit of pitching. Again, you hear the water starting to pick up. I like that.
I like the sound of that.
The visibility, right? I can see everything sitting on this chair.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice.
Well, Andy, I'm sad to say we're going to have to shut it down and head back.
Oh, I think we need to just turn out to the bay and head to the Azores.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that for another chapter.
Another day. This basically is to show Andy what reefing is like on a junk sail, how difficult or easy it is. So really, you only have to undo the one rope. Got it. Just like this. So we can stop there.
Very nice.
Fully reefed.
Yep. There we go.
Nice.
Easy peasy.
Well, Rovers, that was great getting Andy out for a sail yesterday. And, you know, it really validated some of the things that I was saying. So, you know, when he was sailing the boat, he was looking at it as a racer. Andy, as it turns out, is one of the top soling racers in the United States. So he was looking at it from a racing perspective, and that's a good thing, actually, because he's looking at the performance. So from a sailing perspective, we're very happy with it. There are some things that I want to talk about that we're going to change up in the plans. There's nothing terribly, big that we're going to change, but I'll just go over what we think would improve the boat. But largely this comes down to the taste of the home builder, or, you know, what sort of detail you want to get into. So one of the things that I initially wanted, but there was difficulty, about time and, money. But one of the things I wanted was a rail that actually went from here down like this. So more of the stern pulpit that would attach like this, and maybe even a secondary rail that would attach to a bracket here and get welded in. So that was one thing. A second thing, and again, it would come down to personal preference, but putting a small opening hatch. We're not talking a hatch that a person would fit through, but just a smaller hatch that would open up when you're at anchor or alongside, that would scoop air and get more air through the cabin. Because as it stands, I didn't really feel it, but if I was in the Caribbean, I feel as though I could use more wind. Another option would be these flush deck, which I really like, and they've never let me down, but these flush vents, there's a second portion that you could buy which fits. You take off this low profile and you put on this other profile that attaches over the internal mechanism, and it has a door aid that could scoop air. So those are a couple of ideas. As far as the wooden mast goes, and the wooden battens and the flat cut sail, we're all very happy with it. As you'll see in a video not too distant future, Wave Rover was at a junk rig festival or gathering, and I was sailing against a boat, or sailing with, I should say, a boat that was approximately the same size, and it had a cambered sail, and Wave Rover performed just as well as the boat with the cambered sail. However, if Wave Rover had a cambered sail, because they were very light winds, Wave Rover would have performed even better under those conditions. However, under the conditions that I sail in on the ocean, very happy to have the flat cut sail, because mostly I'm depowering. A second thing we noticed was at sea, I was reefing. I would have liked to have maybe a little more stability, and we're going to address that. We're going to add an extra 200 pounds of lead to the keel, and that's fine. I mean, that's why Wave Rover is a prototype, so it's not a big deal. I would take this boat to sea tomorrow without that extra ballast, but that extra ballast will help a lot. One of the things, and this is entirely on me, is the Mark III. So the Mark III is well proven. It works. I'm very happy with it. However, I had done a lashing system on the rudder here. You can just see it. And that's based on experience I had with my Warham 26, my James Warham 26 catamaran. And that is totally functional, and after about 1,500 miles of sailing, there's absolutely no chafe on that. That's as good as the day I put it on. The problem is the trim tab, so that's the section that's attached, it's below the water, but it's attached to that stainless steel shaft. That trim tab I lashed with the same system to the trailing edge of the rudder, and there's just, because it doesn't pivot and I need that trim tab to pivot, it rolls, and because of the roll there's too much friction, and because of that amount of friction the boat wasn't steering as well downwind, and as a result I couldn't sail as effectively downwind as I would have liked to. Now, it still worked on a beam reach, as I prove a little bit later on when I'm dealing with 30 knot winds going down the New Jersey coast in weather that the 40 footers at the anchorage refused to go out in. So Wave Rover went out in those conditions, and we had no problem because it was mostly a beam reach and perhaps maybe a broad reach. So we do fine in those circumstances. The interior, everybody, absolutely everybody who's gone inside this boat is happy with the interior. In fact, happy is probably the wrong word. Overjoyed with the amount of space. I had 6 people on board the other day, and there was plenty of room. I could have had a dinner party. So it's very livable. And finally, and really it's in the plans, is to have a cockpit well. So like a foot well, more of a traditional cockpit, and a different hatch. So those are things. I'm happy with this because I plan to do offshore work, and I feel very safe and happy with this setup. And for me, even gunk holing, I love this system. But I can see some people would say, I don't want to build one of these because of this system. I just don't like it. So the traditional footwell and a traditional hatch are things that are actually part of the plans. I deviated from the plans, and the difference between the two, this to me was easier to build and more functional for what I had in mind. And at the end of the day, I love sitting there. I've done a fair bit of gunk holing now on Wave Rover, and I'm very, very happy with it. So that's an easy thing. We've talked to Andy about it, and we said, well, why don't we just make 2 variants? This is the offshore variant, and the other one would be more coastal and gunk holing, more traditional, more of a classic. But at the end of the day, it's a 21-foot boat, and a 21-foot boat is going to be a compromise in so many ways. And by compromise, what do I mean? Well, I'll tell you right now that as a 21-foot boat, if you want speed and say you want to race in your club races, this is probably not the boat. But if you want a boat that could take a couple out, maybe even a young family, or you want to go out with the dog, you want to gunk hole, you perhaps want to cross an ocean, this is a great boat. It's a great boat. I mean, it's faster than probably most 21-footers, but there will be a 21-footer that is faster than it, but probably not capable of crossing an ocean, because this is light, but a racing version would be lighter still. I'm happy with the weight of this. I don't want it any lighter. This is with strength comes a certain amount of weight. So I'm happy with that. My overall opinion of this boat is, it's for the amount of work I put into building this, the amount of effort I put into the design process with Andy, I'm delighted with what we've produced. It's something that will take me where I want to go safely, and I don't feel as though I broke the bank building this. So in closing, all I'd like to say is, if you find these videos inspirational, educational, or downright entertaining, consider becoming a patron. There's a link in the video description, and it doesn't cost you a penny to check it out. As always, Rovers, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure.